I built this wooden combination lock model back in 2008, but I never made a video of its construction, so I thought I'd build it again to show the process. I've got some of the key drawings printed out here, and now I just need to cut them out. The glue didn't stick that well, so I'm just going to use a couple of small nails through these holes to keep them aligned while I cut them out. I need 3 of these and 1 of these, and these things are mostly just circles, so I'll cut them out with a compass. Every time I cut out a circle on the bandsaw, I get comments about circle jigs. Circle jigs just aren't worth the bother. Now these discs are supposed to fit fairly loosely onto the dowel, but it's really tight, so I have to sand down that dowel a little bit to make it fit better. The 3 rotors have these tabs which allow one rotor to engage the next rotor, and that's how the rotor all the way in the back is turned. So next I need to cut a slot into each rotor to accept those tabs. Now this thing should turn freely in here, but it's awfully tight, so I should have sanded this dowel down a little bit. But it's too late for that now, so I'm just going to expand the holes a little bit by sanding the inside of them. The first rotor has got this piece here attached to it, which couples to the knob, and that is a slightly thicker ring like this. When attaching the back to the lock, I have to make sure that this dowel ends up in the middle of this hole. Now this thing only comes up just barely far enough to clear the bar here. So I need to put a stop on there for that position. When I assembled this part in here, this bracket, I put the dowel too far this way, which means I don't have enough length sticking out here. So I'm just going to do something very crude, which is to end grain glue another piece of dowel on here. And the straight up end grain against end grain joint actually is surprisingly strong, so I think it'll do for this application. Depending on how things work out in terms of thicknesses of plywood, you may need an odd size washer. This one is sanded down from 1/4 inch. And then we put the back rotor in, middle, front, and then that fits in here, and that should come to about the front of the plywood, and then the knob goes on here. Now the knob somehow needs to be coupled with this rotor. Now there's nothing that keeps the knob from pulling off, so we need to put this screw in front of this. I also made a couple of thinner washers by sanding them to keep this part centered, and that goes in here, and then the knob goes on here, and the knob is horizontal when this part is vertical. And that would be a good position for the knob. The lock is almost done, but it's missing one important detail, and that's the slots in the rotors that actually set the combination. I wanted to set the combination to pi, which would be 31, 41, 59, but the dial only goes up to 39, so instead I'm using the constant E, which will be 27, 18, 28. And now I just need to mark what position my rotors ended up in, and that's where the notches need to go. Now I still need to install the bolt, and that's best done with the lock in open position. Slides in the back like that, and a screw to keep it from falling out again. Now ideally in a lock like this, the rotors would have a little bit of friction so that If you dial a little bit too fast, the rotors won't overshoot like they do on here. But that would be very difficult, because if I make these so they rub on the dowel, as soon as humidity changes, they either become loose or become jammed altogether. So the key on here is just to dial very slowly. It's not really a practical lock, it's mostly for demonstration. If you'd like to build a combination lock like this yourself, I have a set of plans for sale on my website. But you do need a bandsaw. If you don't have one, I'd be more than happy to sell you the plans for that too.